Who is the best fly half in the world then? The Player Power Ranking series charting the top 10 players in the world position by position has arrived at the number 10 jersey, which is a prestigious one, isn't it? Maybe doesn't carry the same level of prestige that the number 10 does in football, but it's still a very special position, isn't it? The fly half, as it's known in the UK and elsewhere, standoff. Down under they call it the first 5/8. Never fully understood that, by the way. Is it because, like on a team sheet, the number 10 would be 5/8 of the way down? Or I don't know. Anyway, for whatever reason, first 5/8 it is. I love the French translation of fly half. Now, the scrum half on the previous video, the demi de mêlée, mêlée is scrum, demi half, so half scrum, scrum half, direct translation. In French, fly half is demi d'ouverture. So that translation of d'ouverture is the opener. I just love that because it speaks to this position, doesn't it? Someone that has to have incredible levels of creativity and vision. They unlock, pick holes in the defence, distribute, putting people through holes. The conductor of a team, tactically being astute and the brains of a side, kicking, goal kicking as well is really important. You can be a real maverick, creative 10, or you can be a bit robust. The best fly halves are the ones that have got a bit of it all, and the list that I've got for you on this video is absolutely brilliant. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and let's crack on then. This is what the number 10 looked like last time. How much change will there be? Well, there's a change straight away at number 10. Santi Carreras is dropping out. George Ford is dropping down. George Ford, a brilliant player, and he's hanging on in there because, let me remind you, I judge this not based on who played best in the games we've just watched. That would be a bit boring because the list would change every time. So this is based on current form, historic form, and there's a bit of gut feeling goes into it as well. 103 caps to his name, an amazing player. And I think that's the reason that George Ford is hanging on there. It's a make or break Six Nations for him. Will he be, I mean, it's a very outside chance he's starting, but he's back in the squad and fit. Will he be on the bench? Will he be the third choice and not used? He may well be dropping out of the top 10. I think he's been unfairly labelled as a scapegoat for England. Number 9, new face, Paulo Garagi. 42 caps to his name for Italy, but he had one of his best, well, no, 2024 is probably his best year. He was fit and available the whole time. Italy's best ever Six Nations. He was starting and played basically every minute of every game, and he is just the fulcrum of that team. And as he gets a little bit older and more mature, you're starting to see that come through into his rugby, dictating the play, controlling things, and using the weapons that he's got outside him. And I don't think Tommaso I think it works both ways. Garagi looks better because Menoncello's there, but Menoncello looks as good as he does because he's got a player of the quality of Garagi there. Damien McKenzie actually up a spot to number 9, weirdly, and this is partly because players above have dropped down more. And I also think Damien McKenzie got a bit of unfair stick. He was started and won in all the tests in July. He had 5 starts in the Rugby Championship, which was a mixed bag for New Zealand, but Damien McKenzie did okay. And he got 2 starts in the November tests as well. I think it looks like Beauden Barrett is going to be the guy that's more so the number 10, and he may well appear on this list in player power rankings of the future, but it's going to be interesting to watch who takes the reins. I still don't exactly understand where Scott Robertson's head is at on that front. I think what we could probably agree is that Damien McKenzie and Beauden Barrett are both just placeholders for when Richie Mwanga, who was previously number 1 on this list, comes back. At number 7, Thomas Albor, another new face. What a year he has had. Absolutely brilliant. He's only actually got 20 caps for Argentina. He has only got, even more surprisingly, 7 starts to his name. But they have basically come the second half of 2024, where he grabbed the number 10 jersey and made it his own in the Rugby Championship, Argentina's best ever Rugby Championship. He was outstanding and so influential in a really good performance by Los Pumas, and he bossed it through the November tests as well. He's only 20. Yeah, I think he's, how old is he? He's either 22 or 24, I can't remember. He's young and got a lot of time, and Argentina needed that because Santi Carreras was blowing a bit hot and cold. Thomas Albor looks like the real deal, and so I've jumped him up to number 7. Just behind Manie le Roux, who stays where he is. Again, another player, a little bit like George Ford, sort of gets unfairly scapegoated. For example, that Argentina test, one of the 2 matches that South Africa lost in 2024. Yes, Manie le Roux missed that conversion to win the match, but the Box had a poor day at the office, and the defeat was not down to that one single point of failure, Manie le Roux conversion. He does have an issue with his goal kicking, which has reared its head many, many times. What is not up for debate, however, is that if you just take the goal kicking aside, he is one of the most talented athletes in this number 10 position and has vision and abilities that so many players can only dream of. And for that reason, for me, he stays exactly where he is. He's still only 27 years of age. He's got a big role to play with the Box coming forward, even with Sasha Feinberg and Gomezulu nipping at his heels, even with the old stager Hre Pryde, who's been there and done it. How is Rassie Erasmus going to distribute that labour in the 10 jersey in 2025 is going to be a fascinating question to watch. Into the top 5 then. Jack Crowley stays there. And again, we've got a bit of a battle. Talk about battles in 10 jerseys. South Africa is one, Ireland is another. And we all thought after those Ireland test matches when Kieran Frawley was really good coming on off the bench, Jack Crowley started those games and was very good and guided Ireland to a Six Nations victory earlier in the year. We all thought the battle was going to be Leinster, Munster, Frawley, Crowley. But along comes Sam Prendergast, the Prendergoat. And could he be the ultimate heir to Johnny Sexton's throne? Well, that is the battle that is on in this Six Nations. I do not know which fly half is going to be starting against England in Dublin in a few weeks' time. My guess would be it will be this fella. But I would not be surprised if it was Sam Prendergast. Jack Crowley, mentally he's got it. He wasn't as good in November as he was in the Six Nations. The battle is on. He's still number 5 for me. Number 4 is Marcus Smith, who's rocketed up. And even in a poor England team, he has been the biggest bright spark for England, the creative force behind anything good that happens. And he's made the number 10 jersey his, to the point that you want him on the pitch for the whole game. And Steve Borthwick has been accommodating that by moving him to fullback later in games. I still think we haven't seen the last of that experiment, but I think for the most part, he's going to be the man at number 10. And with Finn Smith and George Ford battling it out to be his understudy. That's certainly how the Six Nations will start. Let's wait and see. And this is the big thing. Since Marcus Smith has been in the England team, England have not got across the line in enough of those close games. And I'm not saying that's Marcus Smith's fault, but at some point, a great 10 will be the guy that grabs a game by the scruff of the neck and says, we're not losing this one. And when you look at the great 10s, that's what they managed to do. Marcus Smith has got a big year ahead of him. He's still only 25 years of age. Into the top 3, Romain Unac. Do you know his last game for Les Bleus was the August before the Rugby World Cup? He missed the Six Nations, well, he missed the Rugby World Cup, devastatingly for France through injury. He missed the Six Nations last year through that same injury. Came back, won himself the Champions Cup with Toulouse and was brilliant. And then didn't manage to make the rugby in November because of another injury. He's back fit again. And whilst I have got a little tiny question mark next to Romain Unac, in that game against the Sharks, is his acceleration and his pace still as good as it was? Maybe not. Maybe the ACL injury has got some lasting damage there, and will that affect him? What's not up for debate in my mind is that France are going to be so much better for this man being back in their team, because he is truly exceptional, a world-class talent, and he's back, and he's that good, and his body of work is so good that I've kept him at number 3. This is why, if I was just doing it based on recent form, Romain Unac wouldn't even be in the list. That's why I do historic form as well. Staying where he is at number 2 is Finn Russell. He played every minute in the Six Nations. Started 2 and played full games in 2 of the November tests for Scotland. Got given the summer off. An unreal talent. He's been tearing it up for Bath. He's so important to Scotland. And I mean, it's a very outside chance that they're not favourites to win the Six Nations, but can Finn Russell deliver? He's got Sione Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones in amazing form outside him. They've got a good pack of forwards. This could be the year. It's a British and Irish Lions year as well. So the motivation is there. Can Finn Russell step up and take a competition and make it his? He's not, again, a little bit like Marcus Smith. Incredible talent. Hasn't yet got his team over the line. Enough. Come on, Finn Russell. Can you do it? Just not against England. If that's all right. I've had enough pain at the hands of Scotland in recent years. And finally, meaning number 1, the top 3 staying exactly the same. Hre Pryde. His record this year, he started those games against Ireland. He started only 2 and was on the bench 4 times in the Rugby Championship. And he started 1 and was on the bench twice in November. So again, I am leaning with Hre Pryde into his whole body of work. Hence the reason he's still at number 1. And he's the clutch goal-kicking king. And he quite often just gets pigeonholed as a goal kicker. He's not. He's an unreal attacking talent as well. His distribution's brilliant. He can run. He is just... If there was a World Cup final next weekend and I could pick anyone, I'd pick Hre Pryde. So that's why he's here in the number 1 position. He is truly elite. And I wonder, and again, I'm watching that 10 jersey for the box in 2025 because he's 30 years of age, so age is no problem. He'll make it to 2027, well, Hre Pryde. Looks like he's going to be going to Japan, unconfirmed at this point, but it's looking that way. That's going to lengthen his career because it's not as intense in Japan as it is in the Premiership, where he's been brilliant for Leicester Tigers. But having a safety blanket in 2024 as your insurance policy on the bench, meaning, yeah, go and play Sasha FM, go and play Manie le Roux. We've got Hre on the bench. But when it comes to crunch time, I think you put Hre in. It's going to be interesting to watch though. Sasha FM could be the boy with Pollard backing him up, which actually brings me to, when I look at, there is the top 10 that I've gone for, which brings me to the players that are not on the list. Now, I'll just give a quick mention to Richie Mo'unga, who at some point is going to come back and be rocketing right up that, maybe to the very top. Out of the list, Jalabert and Carreras. Ford and McKenzie's positions are under threat. And the 3 that are really primed to maybe take this list by storm, Sam Prendergast. Actually, I'll do it in reverse order. Finn Smith, if he can get himself game time. Sam Prendergast, if he becomes Ireland's number 1. And most of all, Sasha Feinbergen-Gomezulu, who, had he not got injured in those November tests, I think would have been on this list already. Sasha has got, 8 caps, 3 of them starting. Wasn't quite enough to nudge any of these boys out. But that guy, that kid, if you've been watching the channel for any length of time, you know what I think about Sasha FM, my favourite radio station. And I cannot wait to see him fit and firing again. And maybe in the 10 jersey, maybe in another jersey. But get him on the pitch because he's a wild talent. And I'm sure he'll be featuring on this soon enough. Let me know what you reckon in the comments down below. Thumbs up on the video and hit subscribe.